So, determine the equation for the parabola in the form y equals ax minus h squared plus k, with the vertex at -3, -1, and passes through the point 0, 8. So here's the parabola. I've got it drawn for us already, so you don't have to deal with my rough sketches. Okay, so here's the vertex. Now I've told you that vertex is at -3, -1, and it sure is. And it passes through the point 0, 8. Let's take a look. And sure enough, passes through the point 0, 8. So the vertex, I gave it to you in the question. It's not always going to be given to you, okay? You're going to have, in the next one, I believe, you're going to have to look at the graph and find it yourself. So the vertex is -3, -1. And another point on the parabola is 0, 8. So that's the first two steps whenever you do a question like this. We need to do that because we need our h and k values, and we need our x and y values. In order to write the equation in vertex form, we need the vertex, and we need another point. Okay? We can't write the equation if we don't have those two pieces of information. Good. So now we're going to plug our h and k, x and y values, into the vertex form of a parabola, which is right here, y equals ax minus h squared plus k. So we're going to plug all that into that equation and solve for a. In order to write the equation, we need to know that a value. So let's go ahead and do that. So our vertex what was our vertex? I think our vertex was -3, -1. So our vertex was -3, -1, and our point was 0 and 8. Okay, so those are our h and k and x and y values. So let's sub all of those into the vertex form. Vertex form y equals a x minus h squared plus k. We should have that memorized by now. We've written it 1,000 times. Okay, so y is 8, so we just replace y with 8. We don't know a, that's what we're solving for. Our x value is 0. Our h value is -3, so we're going to subtract -3. And our k value is -1. If we simplify that, 8 equals a. 0 minus -3 means 0 plus 3, which is 3. Simplify further, 0 equals a. 3 squared is 9, minus 1. So we have, let's write this in brackets so we know that we're not supposed to do 9 minus 1. We have to remember our bedmass rules. Okay. So we have a times 9 minus 1. Okay, so let's move the 1 to the other side. So we'll have 8 plus 1 equals 9a. 9 equals 9a. And we'll continue this over here. If 9 equals 9a, divide both sides by 9. Cancel. 9 divided by 9 is 1. So we have a equals 1. There's our a value. Now when we write the equation of the parabola, we want to sub in our values for a, h, and k. We don't want to substitute in for x and y, because x and y can stand for any point on the parabola. So if we want the general equation of the parabola, we only sub in for a, h, and k. So our equation for the parabola is y equals 1 x minus -3. So I have minus -3. But we know when we subtract a negative, that changes to addition. So really what I have is x plus 3. Get rid of that other bracket there as well. Squared. And their k value is -1. There's our answer. And we don't really need that a value in front there. We don't really need to show that we're multiplying something by 1, because when we multiply something by 1, it just stays the same. So our final answer could just look like that. Y equals x plus 3 squared minus 1. Okay, let's try a third example here. Example 3. Determine the equation for the parabola in the form y equals ax minus h squared plus k. First off, what is the vertex? And you'll notice in this one, I didn't even tell you the vertex in the question. So that's okay, because we can look on the graph and we can find it. The vertex is the very maximum value of this parabola. The parabola opens down, so it has a maximum. That maximum value looks like it's at -2 and 4. -2, 4. Find another point on the parabola. Let's find another point. Another nice even point that it goes through. Let's take a look. It looks like it goes through this point right here. 1, 1. It looks like it goes through there evenly. So let's write that down. Another point on the parabola is 1, 1. And we remember that the vertex is hk. So this is our h and k values. And a point on the parabola is the x and y coordinates. That's our x and y. So if we then plug our h, k, x, and y values into the vertex form of a parabola, so if we plug in our y, x, h, and k values, we can then solve for y. In order to write the equation, we need to solve for y. So let's go ahead and do that. We solve for a. First of all, I'll write my vertex down again. So my vertex was -2, 4. And my other point on the parabola was 1, 1. Ones are nice and easy to work with, so I'm glad I found a point like that. Okay, so let's solve for a. Vertex form, we remember it off by heart. Y equals a, x minus h squared plus k. Plug in all our values. So this is our h and k. This is our x and y. Plug in all of those values. And we get 1 is equal to a. Our x value is 1. Minus our h is -2. So minus -2. Minus -2 squared plus 4 is our k value. Let's simplify. 1 minus -2 is 1 plus 2, so that's 3. We continue simplifying. We get 1 equals a times 3 squared, which is 9. So a times 9 is 9a. Plus 4, move the 4 to the other side. We get -3 is equal to 9a. And if we continue this question over here, we divide both sides by 9, so we can get a by itself. Divide both sides by 9. These 9s cancel nicely. And we get -3 divided by 9 in lowest terms is -1/3. So our a value is -1/3. So if we want to write the equation of the parabola, we remember that what we plug in is the a, h, and k values. We don't plug in x and y because those stand for any point on the parabola. It's a general formula, so we don't plug in values for x and y when we write the final equation. We just plug in a, h, and k values. So our equation for the parabola is y equals -1/3, x minus -2, which is plus 2, plus k, which is 4. And there's our final answer. Awesome. So let's try one of these questions this type one more time, just to make sure we have the hang of it. So question number 4, find an equation for the parabola with vertex -3, 1, and passes through the point -2, 1. -2, -1. So go ahead and try this question on your own right now. Just pause the video and give it a shot. Okay. Okay. Now that you've tried the question yourself, I didn't give you any of the steps for this one. Okay. So I was hoping you'd be able to remember the steps for solving it. Let's go through and solve it together quickly. So remember, our vertex are our h and k values. The point, another point on the parabola, gives us our x and y values. Okay. What we want to do now is solve for a. Solve a. Now that we have our vertex and our other point. So we know that y is equal to a x minus h squared plus k. Plug all of these values in. Our x, y, h, and k values in. Our y is -1. We don't know a. We're solving for a. Our x is -2. Our h is -3. So we're going to subtract -3. That changes to plus. So -2 plus 3 squared. Plus our k value is 1. Now all we do is go through and simplify and practice our algebra skills. -1 equals a. -2 plus 3 is +1. Plus 1. Lots of 1's going on here. Okay. -1 equals a. 1 squared is just 1. Plus 1. So a times 1 is just a. So if we move this +1 over, we get -1 minus 1 equals a times 1, which is a. Let's extend the page a little bit here. -1 minus 1 is -2. So our a value is -2. Now when we write the equation in vertex form, we just want to fill in our a, h, and k values. Okay, that's how we write the generalized equation of the parabola. So I'm going to write it in green down here. Y is equal to -2 x minus -3 minus -3. We know that subtracting a negative changes to a plus. So plus 3 squared. And our k value is +1. Plus 1. There is the equation of the parabola that has vertex -3, 1 and passes through the point -2, -1. Okay, so we've done 4 examples of that. Now let's go on and try an application question using what we know about parabolas in vertex form.